Welcome to the service clinic at Low Country Harley-Davidson. I'm Doc Harley. On my lift today, I have a 2002 Softail in fantastic condition. It has 26,000 miles on it. Took it for a test ride. Motor sounds great. Tires need to be replaced, so I'm working on that also. But when I started maneuvering through a curvy section that we've got set up for the test ride, felt something with the front end. Every time I came back to center, it wanted to just stay there. And it gave me some resistance going to the right and to the left. And so I came back to the shop and said, we need to inspect these bearings. And then when I started taking it apart, started seeing original grease at the top and the bottom. No, that wasn't a good idea, because in 2002, there's a zert fitting on this side of the neck bearing. And all this customer had to do was to just fill this area with grease, and then every 10,000 miles, just do an adjustment. But this looks completely dry. I have original grease at the bottom and the top, so there was no new grease in 26,000 miles. And you know, after a long period of time here in the South in the heat, some of that grease kind of melts and comes on out. Some of you have complained a little bit in an email to me that there's a little drop on my fender. Well, that's because maybe that shop didn't use a high-quality grease that stays solidified when the hot weather comes. So what I'm going to do is take this apart and show you what a bad set of bearings looks like when I get it apart. All right, so now I've lowered the bottom end out. I've got the cap off and the adjuster screw. I'm taking out the bearings. You see these impressions? There's been no grease, and so the bearings have just been etching themselves inside these cups. It's because no grease. And that orange color, that's the original grease from the factory. Hardening on the edges here. Not really doing a job because they're worn out. And you can see there's discoloration on this. So we're going to replace these bearings because this is what a new one looks like. That's what we want it to look like. We don't want any indentations on it. Of course, there's going to be grease on this, heavily greased, so it'll stay in this kind of condition. But yeah, this is what we're going to replace. We're going to knock out the top and the bottom because we have to do it as a pair, not just one at a time. So take a look at your motorcycle. On Softails, you'll see the zert fitting on this side. If you're a road king, it's tough, but look really closely. Turn your wheel all the way to the right. Look on the left side, lower front, and you'll see a zert fitting kind of in a terrible place to get to with your zert fitting from your grease gun, but it's there on Road Kings. Now on M8s, Harley-Davidson decided, let's redesign the frame. No zert fittings in this area. So Harley-Davidson has told us, mechanics, 50,000 miles, take it apart, grease it. If you need to, replace it, put it together, and go another 50,000 miles on it. So there's no maintenance daily. Now, every 10,000 miles, check, of course, and readjust on the Milwaukee 8 models. But if you got a twin cam, take your time and look for the zert fitting. If you got it, fill it till you see it starting coming out the top and the bottom, all right? And that will get you a little more longer on the parts inside the neck. I'm Doc Harley. We'll see you next week.